No question that Mary, the Virgin Mother of Jesus, is a significant character in the Christmas story, an important person in Jesus' life. That's why we have her banner right here in the front. Roman Catholics in particular have venerated this woman as the Mother of God, and they have named her the Queen of Heaven. And frankly, I think that every mother plays the most important role in her child's healthy birth, that child's survival, that child's upbringing, that child's future success. Not just Mary. Every mother does that for her family. And furthermore, we must admit that Mary's life was turned upside down and inside out when the messenger angel Gabriel let her know that she was pregnant with the Messiah, the long-awaited Christ, the one who would be called the Son of God. Now, that's a challenging thought for a young Galilean girl, as it most certainly would be for any of us today if we got that word. My heart goes out to Mary. Nevertheless, I want us to focus today on Joseph, her fiancé. He had been publicly pledged in marriage to the Virgin, but suddenly found out that his betrothed bride, the girl of his dreams, was pregnant. Joseph would naturally fall under suspicion as the baby's father. The neighbors would assume he's had intercourse with Mary before their wedding night. The salacious gossip about Joseph's supposed immorality would race through Nazareth like it does in any small town, like a Twitter feed today. Internet scandal, everybody chattering about it on their Facebook page, besmirching the reputation when nothing is known for sure. Goes around a lot. Even though it was untrue, this was bad news for that innocent young man. But he'd survive it. For Mary, however, it was not just bad news, it was dangerous news. Because if Joseph denounced her as a fornicator, that is, having sex with somebody other than him, Mary would have been stoned to death for the sin of adultery. Penalties were much more severe on the women in those days. Have we gotten beyond that in our day? Matthew writes that Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, resolved to divorce her quietly. Frankly, I haven't come across very many quiet divorces in my experience. Even amicable, no-fault, mutually agreed upon separations become adversarial and expensive as lawyers get involved. Joseph may have resolved to divorce her quietly for Mary's protection. Or it may have been to hide his own shame, to protect his own good name in the community. But Joseph didn't do that. He did not take cover under the law and cut Mary loose. Instead, he listened to what God had to say in a dream. Here's how Matthew put it. As he considered this, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. Boy, talk about dreaming the impossible dream. As he wrestles in his own mind with what to do about this scandalous situation, Joseph is encouraged to imagine himself as the legal father of the Messiah, the one who names the baby, the one who raises him. Imagine, Joseph, that by accepting this son of Mary as your own, you will play a key role in the coming of God's salvation and redemption into the world. You, Joseph, will raise the Messiah, the Christ, to adulthood. You will invest yourself in bringing into being this one who will be named Deliverer, Yeshua, the one the people will call Emmanuel, God with us. Do not be afraid, Joseph, to do this. Have faith. I can certainly understand why Joseph would have had some sleepless nights, struggling with the problem of what to do about Mary and her pregnancy. I'm sure that she had said that she had not been unfaithful to her vows of betrothal, and yet it appeared that she was carrying the child of another man. Whether Mary had been the victim of a rape or incest or infidelity, it added up to the same sad result in the custom of the ancient Middle Eastern culture. The unwed woman is now spoiled. She's no longer virgin. She's a sinner. She deserves death at the hands of her father, who she has betrayed, or her shamed brothers, or certainly her jilted fiancé. That's what justice demanded. As Joseph struggled with what's the right way for me to handle this, the Bible gives us a clue about Joseph's character. It says he was a just man, unwilling to put her to shame. The New Revised Standard Version of the Bible calls Joseph a righteous man. Not self-righteous, not judgmentally, rigidly righteous, such that he would be committed to the public punishment of sin. No. See, in the gospel, righteousness means that one's heart is tuned to God. That one's innermost being is compassionate and merciful and creative and loving, just like the heart of God. That's what it means to be righteous in a Christian context. Because Joseph is a just man, he proves to be a kind man. He is gracious and gentle with Mary, his wife, and hopeful and faithful regarding Jesus. A lesser man would have taken refuge under the Jewish law and said that the law has decided for me what is right and what is wrong, and I must do what I must do. A lesser man would have bowed perhaps to the brutal customs of their culture. That's what's expected by everyone else. A lesser man would have demanded justice, bringing accusations of unfaithfulness against Mary, broken off the betrothal, perhaps even demanded her execution to wipe away his public disgrace. As I said in the song a moment ago, some in town will frown and say, I should turn away because of the things they say she's done. Some may say that I am wrong, but I've loved her for so long. I'm going to do the thing she needs me to. I can imagine that Joseph was torn between the motives, on the one hand, not wanting to hurt his fiancée Mary, on the other hand, being afraid to enter into a marriage with somebody whose faithfulness he cannot fully trust. I mean, it is hard to restore trust to a marriage where one partner has been unfaithful. Imagine having to go through that before you had even been together. Could you look at the very child born from that unfaithful affair, that rape, that incest, and not relive the pang of betrayal? I mean, this is a very big deal, even today, to expect Joseph simply to accept a pregnant fiancée. The Bible suggests something else about Joseph, in that he was reflective. That is, he considered what to do. He made plans in his own mind. Rather than jumping into hasty action that he might regret later on, Joseph was going to take some time to think it over. And I can imagine it was always on the back of his mind. In the back of his mind while he worked during the day as a carpenter. During the night, he became subject of his dreams. If your dreams are like my dreams, I find myself always waking up still having just preached a sermon or just pulled a meeting together. Whatever I do during my working day is what I do at night in my dreams. Maybe that's why I'll be getting a pension someday for the work I do in my dreams. Well, it was during one such troubled dream that the angel spoke to him. Now I want us to think a moment about Joseph as a dreamer. See, on this occasion, and 3 more times in chapter 2, verses 13, 19, and 22, when angels speak to Joseph, every time it's in a dream. And I get that. Our deepest subconscious mind at rest in the night, firing random synapses and creative synthesis, is not entirely under our control. It will think for us. It'll put things together that we would never give permission to think on our own. When we say, let's sleep on it, that gives us a chance for clear thinking tomorrow. Sleep is wonderful. I can just see Joseph, the righteous one, the reflective one, thinking and thinking in the methodical, careful way that a carpenter or an engineer would think, trying to find the best answer to these problems. And it was in the midst of this very real process that God's messenger spoke to him in a dream. And I can't help but think that that's like us today. As we wrestle with issues, especially ones that touch our families, as we wrestle with problems that involve our relationships with other people, Joseph's story becomes our story. As we struggle to find the right answer in our own way, perhaps we even dream about our problems as Joseph did about his. So I take from this story the possibility that God's Spirit does intervenes today as God did back then with Joseph, intervenes to help you and me to find the most creative, perhaps even novel, right answer to whatever the personal problem is we are facing. And as Ginny Titus reminded us in our Blues Christmas, we all have these issues, grief and fear, struggles. God may not send an angel per se to talk to you in the middle of the dream, but some kind of message, some kind of guidance, some proposal, some new direction may come to you when you relax a bit. Let go and let God. Be still and know. Be not afraid. All those words come at us relentlessly.